If you are new to this channel, I'm Asia.
And I'm Anijah.
And we are
An
An
Inspiration.
Inspiration. And today we'll be doing Speaking Spiritual episode
6.
6. Almost said 5. Yes, so Nigel is going to be reading to you guys the scripture and where we're coming from. Again, we're coming out of our Daily Bread books. Let me show you the picture. There's a Daily Bread app as well. It's kind of like rested up, but yeah, there's a Daily Bread app as well, and it covers 3 months now. It goes all the way to November.
3 or 4. I thought it was 3 or 4 months.
3 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
3 months.
Okay.
And the scriptures for today is coming from Isaiah 41, verse 1 and 10, or just 10 we're reading. So it says, I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Isaiah 41 and 10. God holds us. Similar to what God spoke to Israel, as the nation wilted under the oppression of fierce enemies, I will strengthen you and help you. God promised. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. No matter how desperate their situation, how impossible the odds that they would ever find relief, God assures his people that they were held in his tender care. Do not fear, for I am with you, he insisted. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. No matter how many years we're given, life's hardships will come knocking at our door. A troubled marriage, a child abandoning in the family, terrifying news from the doctor, even persecution. However, our God reaches out to us and holds us firmly. He gathers us and holds us in his strong, tender hand. When have you felt isolated or exposed? How does it encourage you to know that your life is being held in God's strong hand? God assures us that you're holding me because I feel like I'm only hanging on by a thread. I trust that you will help me and uphold me.
Yeah, so that's our scripture for today's topic, God holds us. So we're just going to be coming to you guys with a couple of points of what we really got from this scripture and what you guys can take away from this scripture. So our first point is, you're not alone even when it feels like you are. Even when it feels like everyone is not with you or everyone has left you in your time of need, like God is still with you in that time, you know.
And
so
I think that God, he continues to show up. And I feel like when you feel, like the book says, isolated or alone or exposed, in those moments, God still holds you. You know, he still sees you as his child. You know, he's still like, oh, you know, I have you. I got you. You know, no matter what you're going through, he's still going to uphold you.
Right. He's still like, you know, they've left you, but I'm still here with you. Like, I haven't forgot about you, even though your friends did that to you, you know, or even though, even if you feel like you have friends like now, or family or whatever that are there for you, but they really aren't there for you. God is still with you in that moment, you know. So don't give up on God, and don't forget that he's there for you, even though it's hard because he's not physically here, you know, but he's here in spirit with you. You know, he's here with you. So I just think you should remember that in your time of need, or when you, even not in your time of need, when you just want to talk to him, when you want him to be there, be your comforter, he's still there for you.
So when you need someone, I feel like sometimes we get distracted and we just forget about like God is there, because we focus so much on people and not really focus on God and him being there, because he's our friend, he's our comfort, he's everything we need him to be. You know.
So our next point is, don't disconnect from God. He still will find a way back to you. And this point, I feel like really
touched me.
Yeah, really touched us, because it's just like, even when I try to not get away from God, I don't want to say that word. How do I phrase it?
Going through so much.
When I'm so busy, and that's what I want to say. When I'm so busy, and I just sometimes don't make enough time for God or something like that, he still do things in my life, or bring people in my life, or just do things to get my attention. And like, even when you're away from God and you haven't talked to him in a long time, or you're just doing something, out of the blue he'll get your attention, like, hey, don't forget about me, or hey, I'm still here for you.
Himself to me, he's showing up and letting you know, like, hey, I'm still here, I've always been here. I need you to know that I am here, you know. And I think through our shortcomings and through our disobedient moments, that he still shows up, he still shows favor, he still gives us that opportunity to do better, and he's still holding us, he's showing us, you know, He's showing us him. He's showing us that he wants to be here.
Like, it's
for
me.
us.
I'm still here for you.
Yeah.
I can comfort you when you're in a time of, when you're in trouble, when you're in fear. Like, I'm still here for you. And I just think a lot of us can sometimes forget that he's here for us and just not really
acknowledge him.
Yeah, that's the word. Not really, not really acknowledge the things that he's done for you.
Right.
And that's to get into the next point. This question that we read in this particular text, it asks, how does it encourage you to know that your life is being held in God's strong hand? And when we talk about God uplifting you and upholding you, you can share that with somebody else. Like, you can share that story with somebody else. Like, reflect on the things that God has done for you in your life. Like, you may not see him or understand what he's doing in this moment right now,
right? But
he has done so many things for you, whether that's waking you up, whether that's getting you out of a situation that you can even never see yourself getting out of, or being a different person. All these different things that God does, like, this is his way of holding you. Even that comfort, all those things, like, those are the things that this is what God does for you. So I think you should reflect on those things, and not forget that, hey, like, this is a way for me to encourage myself. If I want to remember, like, what has God done for me? What does he continue to do for me? You know what I'm saying? All those things, that's a way to remember, like, hey, like, don't forget about God, or don't forget about me. That's what he's saying to you, So.
And I think there's always a purpose behind what God does in your life. I think there's always a reason, and a lot of times we don't see it, and that's why he reveals himself so much, or he puts people in our life to get our attention, like, hey, you shouldn't go that way, or hey, you don't need to be doing this or that, or whatever the situation is, and you feel like you may not see God, he'll do something to reveal something to show you, like, hey, come back to me, like, you're getting away, I'm here.
I'm trying to get you before you go into down that wrong path. Yeah, like, he does that. That's amazing. Another point for that question is just maybe sharing your story, or sharing the things that God has done
or brought you
for
through,
you, or blessed you with, or whatever, with other people. Because I feel like that's a testimony, and for two, that's just like, man, if God can do that for you, then maybe he can do that for me. There's no maybe, but I'm saying, as a person coming, looking at you, like, don't know God or trying to seek God, like, man, he's done this for you, like, so he can do that for me too, So I think using what God has done in your life as a testimony to yourself and to other people is just like, okay, like, maybe I can reach somebody else if I just share my story. And I know sometimes it's hard for people to, share their story, or to share what God has done, because it's not easy talking about God sometimes to people.
And I think that's where a lot of people mess up. Like, they feel like, oh, God did this for you, but he can't do that for me. You know what I'm saying?
It's about timing too.
Yeah, it's about timing, but it also is like, I'm not going to say, it just depends on your commitment and your faith to God. I just feel like he continues to reveal himself even when you mess up, or he continues to reveal himself
not faithful,
even when you're not close to him. Like, he's a part of you. He's in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel him. You might not know what it is, but when you're going through that situation,
your spirit, like all
that.
those things, right from wrong. I think that's the part of God, like, speaking to us and telling us, like, hey, I'm here for you, or hey, don't do that, or
slow down,
or something,
don't move
like,
too fast,
right.
Or, I think it's like a caution sign up there too.
Like, when he speaks to you and talks to you, and there's like an inner voice. Like, recognize that, and if it's familiar too, and it's like it always happens, that's God talking to you.
And it even can be through people. Like, he could put the same person in your life that's saying, or speaking these same things, and you're like, where is this coming from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I also feel like another way of God upholding you is, like, if he does put a person in your life, and you recognizing that they are there just to bring a sign from God. Because some people aren't always meant to stay.
Yeah,
sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm showing you what could have happened or what could have been, but now I'm removing them. So I think you should recognize the people that are, like, in your life for a season, and people that are in your life,
long term,
just because, for a season, long term, or just for a short term, just for God to, like, hey, like, it's me, like, he's calling you to something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's again, that voice, I recognize it, because he does that for me, and I know he does that for other people if he can do it for me. Like that voice is important to recognize. So just don't forget that he's here for you and he's with you, and also know that you can start over, and it's never too late to experience what God has for you.
Right.
And I just feel like this is a big point, because just like some people think like, oh, if I don't know God now, like I'll never know God, or how did they get to a place?
Right.
Like I used to think, for example, I used to think like, man, how did they get to that place of just knowing God, or just being in the spirit with God, or being in His presence? How did they get there? Like I didn't know how to, like, do I have to do what they did? Like, no, you are your own person. You can, and God has His own journey for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to do what we do, or you don't have to be like somebody else just to try to get
to where they are. You can have your own thing, build your own relationship with Him. That's why it's important to connect with Him and have that relationship with Him, because people can ask you like, man, how did you get here? Right. Oh, well, I've seen someone do this, but I have my own way, using God or having God in my life,
Yeah, I feel like you have your own experiences and your own things that God is like I'm gonna hold you up. So, but you have to go about it differently. He's taking you on a different path than anybody else. Like everybody has their own path, and that's why I feel like when you do experience these things with God, just know that like He's there for you,
right?
And He wants to use you to get to other people, just like I feel like He's using us to get to you guys. So,
and I think it's just important to take that time to listen to God.
Yeah,
like when you're going through so much in your life, it's just important to just sit down and try to listen to Him, or try to hear Him, or just have that moment where it's just you
that
and God.
inner time.
Yeah, like that self time with just you and God. Nobody's around. You don't have any distractions. Because even though He holds you, He's a jealous God, and He wants that time. He wants that dedicated time.
Right.
With Him, with you and Him, so you can build your relationship.
It's so much better, and you'll see the difference when you do it on a either daily basis or like when you're consistent with it, because even not doing it on a daily basis, you can still feel the same thing.
Exactly.
Whether you're doing it every 2 days, or because we're busy and it comes up and stuff happens. So when you do that consistently, it's like you start to feel that difference with God. He makes you feel better. He's there for you in a way. It's just like, oh wow, I never knew I could feel like this, but that's God.
So He's holding you. That's that moment where He's holding you.
Yeah, and I just feel like a lot of people just forget that, and we just want to suggest, to just remember, reflect on the things that God has done for you in your life, and don't disconnect from Him, and just be aware that He's still there, even though it may always feel like it, even though it's hard to like know, is this sign from God, or it's just like, is this just a sign? Like, like you don't always know. It's hard to tell. So I just feel like keeping that in mind, and keeping Scripture in mind, and knowing like that's how you also can be aware of things, of how God is holding you, like referring to Scripture, like knowing that He's going to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? Through Scripture, this Scripture says this, so I know this for certain. You know what I'm saying? So
just go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's just good not to compare God to man, because God is so much. He's so powerful, and He can do so much in your life to where you'll see a shift change. You'll see your journey change. Any situation, any trouble, problem that you're going through, He'll change that situation around if you keep believing in Him and having faith in Him.
And trusting Him, and know that things will be okay. It's hard to distinguish, human things, when it comes to God, because it's like human can't do what God can do.
Right.
Humans can't do what God can do. It's just not
possible.
It doesn't happen. So I just feel like you should just, again, continue to trust God, and just know that He's there for you in your time of need. He's there for you even when you don't feel like you need Him. You need Him. So that's just the kind of God He is. So that's what we have to say today.
That's our episode 6.
Yeah.
It's just a challenge every week to spend time with God, and by having that time with Him, He'll reassure to you that, man, I have you. I'm going to uphold you through this or through that or whatever. I got you, So I challenge you guys to just spend some time with Him and see how your week changes, or see how your mind changes, or your perspective on life changes.
And go to Scriptures and see what they say and how it can resonate what's going on within your life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you need some hope. There's Scripture that talk about hope. There's Scripture that talk about grace. There's Scripture, there's Scriptures
for
that
everything.
Apply to your life, where it can give you confirmation. Oh, God can do these things. So Yeah, so that's our Tweaking Spiritual today, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our channel. Don't forget to follow.
Go.
What you about to say?
Just go.
Okay. Well, don't forget to follow us on all our social medias, our Instagram, our Twitter, my Snapchat, and I just Instagram. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.